The air in the kitchen hung heavy, thick with the scent of burnt toast and unspoken words. As Daniel stared at the note trembling in his hand. It's just one night, my love. A chance to live a dream. I'll be back by morning. Please understand. The words, scrawled in Elena's familiar, looping cursive, sliced through him like a dull blade, each letter a fresh wound. The clock above the stove ticked relentlessly, 11:47 p.m., its mechanical pulse mocking the stillness of the house. She was gone. Out there, with him. Her dream man. Daniel's chest tightened, his breath shallow, as the room spun in a haze of disbelief and raw, gnawing hurt. He sank into a chair, the wood creaking under his weight, and read the note again, as if repetition could rewrite its meaning. His fingers traced the paper's edge, worn soft from his grip, and he pictured her writing it. Her dark hair falling over her face, her lips pursed in that way she had when she was nervous. Was she nervous? Or was she exhilarated? Her heart racing as she slipped out the door, leaving him behind? The thought ignited a spark of anger, but it flickered out, smothered by a wave of confusion. How had they come to this? 20 years of marriage, 2 kids, a life built brick by brick. How could it unravel in a single careless sentence? The house was too quiet, the kind of quiet that amplifies every creak and whisper. The kids were at his sister's for the weekend. A detail Elena had orchestrated with unsettling precision. He hadn't questioned it at the time. Why would he? She'd been distant lately, sure, her smiles a little too quick, her eyes lingering on her phone. But he'd chalked it up to stress, to the grind of their routine. Now those moments replayed in his mind like a reel of missed clues. The way she'd linger in the bathroom, the faint scent of a new perfume, the late-night texts she'd dismiss as work. Each memory was a pinprick, sharp and cumulative, building a picture he didn't want to see. Daniel's gaze drifted to the counter, where a half-empty bottle of Merlot stood beside 2 glasses, one smudged with her lipstick. They'd shared a drink last night, laughing about some forgotten joke, her hand brushing his arm. Had she known then? Had she been planning this while she smiled at him, her eyes warm but guarded? He wanted to scream, to hurl the glass against the wall, but his body felt leaden, anchored by a grief he couldn't yet name. Instead, he stood and paced, his footsteps heavy on the hardwood, each step a futile attempt to outrun the truth. He stopped at the window, the night outside a void of inky black. Somewhere out there, Elena was with him. Who was he? A coworker? A stranger? Someone she'd met at one of those conferences she'd started attending alone? Daniel's mind churned, conjuring images he couldn't banish. Her laughter, her touch, given to someone else. The betrayal wasn't just physical. It was the theft of their intimacy, the private language of their marriage, now shared with a shadow. He pressed his forehead against the cool glass, his breath fogging the pain, and whispered, "Why, Elena? Why wasn't I enough?" The question hung unanswered. A ghost in the room. He thought of calling her, demanding answers, but his phone sat untouched on the table. What would he say? Come home? I forgive you? The words felt hollow, unmoored from the storm inside him. Forgiveness was a distant shore, and he was drowning in a sea of doubt and rage. Instead, he grabbed his keys, the metal biting into his palm, and headed for the door. He didn't know where he was going, only that he couldn't stay here, suffocating in the ruins of their life. The car roared to life, its headlights cutting through the suburban dark. The streets were empty, lined with neat lawns and glowing porch lights. A facade of normalcy that mocked his unraveling world. He drove aimlessly, the radio off, the silence amplifying his thoughts. He remembered the early days, Elena's shy smile at a college party, the way she'd blush when he teased her, their first apartment with its leaky faucet and mismatched furniture. They'd been a team, hadn't they? Or had he missed something even then, some crack in their foundation? His phone buzzed, jolting him. A text from Elena. His heart lurched, hope and dread colliding. I'm safe. Don't worry. I love you. The words were a punch, their simplicity infuriating. I love you. How could she write that now mid-betrayal? He gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles white, and pulled into a deserted parking lot, the neon sign of a closed diner flickering above him. The air smelled of rain and asphalt. And he sat there, staring at the message, his mind a battlefield of love and loathing. Part of him wanted to believe her. Maybe it was just one night, a fleeting fantasy she'd regret by dawn. Maybe she'd come back, tearful, begging forgiveness, and they'd rebuild. But another part, darker and colder, whispered that love wasn't enough anymore. Trust, once shattered, couldn't be glued back together without cracks. He thought of their kids, Mia and Lucas, oblivious to the fracture in their world. What would he tell them? How could he face them, knowing their mother had chosen a stranger over their family? The diner's sign buzzed, a low hum that matched the static in his head. He scrolled through his phone, hesitating, then opened Elena's social media. Her last post was a photo from last week, a sunset over the lake, captioned, "Chasing Dreams." He hadn't thought much of it then, but now it felt like a coded message, a hint he'd been too blind to see. He dug deeper, his thumb scrolling through months of posts, searching for clues. A comment from a name he didn't recognize. "Can't wait to see you again, E." Sent a chill through him. The profile was private, but the avatar showed a man mid-40s with a smug grin. Was this him? Daniel's pulse raced, his imagination spiraling. He drove again, faster now, the city blurring past. He didn't know where he was headed until he found himself outside her office, a squat building with darkened windows. She'd mentioned a late meeting tonight, hadn't she? Or had that been a lie too? He parked and stared at the building, half expecting to see her silhouette in a window, laughing with someone else. The emptiness mocked him, and he slammed his fist against the dashboard, the pain grounding him for a moment. Back home, the clock read 2:13 a.m. The note still lay on the table, a silent accusation. He poured a glass of whiskey, the burn in his throat a welcome distraction. He thought of confronting her when she returned, of demanding every detail, but the idea repulsed him. Did he want to know? Or was ignorance a kinder torture? He sat on the couch, the cushions still holding the shape of her body, and let the memories flood him. Their wedding, her laughter, the way she'd hum off-key while cooking. Each memory was a knife twisting deeper. The sound of a car door broke the silence. Headlights flashed through the window, and his heart stopped. She was back. He stood, the whiskey glass trembling in his hand, and moved to the door, his body a coil of tension. The knob turned, and Elena stepped inside, her face pale, her eyes wide with something, guilt, fear, love. She froze when she saw him, the air between them electric with unspoken truths. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I didn't think you'd be awake." He stared at her, searching for the woman he'd loved, the woman he thought he knew. Her coat was rumpled, her hair mussed, and the faint scent of that new perfume clung to her. He wanted to scream, to beg, to hold her, but all he could manage was, "Why?" Her lips parted, but no words came. She stepped closer, then stopped, as if the distance between them was a chasm too wide to cross. I needed to know," she said finally, her voice barely audible. "I needed to feel something else. Just once." The confession hit like a physical blow, and Daniel's vision blurred with tears he refused to let fall. "And now?" he asked, his voice hoarse. "Was it worth it?" She looked away, her silence louder than any answer. In that moment he saw it, the truth she couldn't say. It wasn't just one night. It was a choice, a line crossed, a trust broken beyond repair. He turned away, his back to her, and walked toward the bedroom, the note still crumpled in his pocket. But as he reached the stairs, he stopped, his hand on the banister. A memory flashed, her laughter at Mia's school play, the way she'd squeezed his hand, the life they'd built. He turned back, his voice steady despite the storm inside. "Stay," he said, the word a plea and a challenge. "But know this. I'm not the same man you left tonight." Elena's eyes glistened, and for a moment, they were just Daniel and Elena, two people caught in the wreckage of their love. But as she nodded, a shadow crossed her face, and he knew, deep down he knew, this was only the beginning of their unraveling.